So, let's talk about saving money, but probably not in the way you're used to hearing about it. See, this isn't about having more willpower or making a ton of sacrifices. This is about science. It's about using proven behavioral hacks that can turn saving from this constant uphill battle into something that's, well, pretty much automatic. Does this sound familiar? You start the month with the best intentions, you set a goal, you really try, but by the end of it, your savings account is looking, not so great. It is an incredibly common, super frustrating feeling. But here's the thing you need to know. You're not the problem. Your method is. And this is where we need to flip the script. Successful saving isn't about being more disciplined, it's about having a smarter system. Behavioral scientists have figured out that saving is really a problem of our habits, not just our intentions. And just like any other science problem, it has a solution. All right, so our first move, and honestly, this is the most powerful one, is all about building a system that does the heavy lifting for you. We're talking about putting your savings on complete autopilot. This is where the real change starts. The big idea here is a principle called pay yourself first. It's actually really simple. The moment you get your paycheck, a slice of that money automatically gets moved into your savings before you even see it. This changes everything. Instead of trying to save what's left over after you spend, you end up spending what's left over after you save. This one simple move basically takes temptation right out of the equation. And look, this isn't just some feel-good theory. The science actually backs this up. Study after study shows that people who automate their savings save dramatically more than people who have to remember to manually transfer the money. That huge gap you're seeing on the chart, that's not about how much people earn. It's purely about the system they use. Period. Okay, so you've got your savings on autopilot? Great. Now, where do we find more money to save? Well, forget about agonizing about that daily coffee. The science points us toward a much, much bigger target, what we call the big three.
I mean, when you actually see the numbers, it's pretty staggering. For most of us, the vast majority of our spending is concentrated in just three areas: housing, transportation, and food. All those other little expenses we worry about, they're just a tiny fraction of the whole pie. This is so important because it tells us exactly where to focus our energy for the biggest possible impact.
So here's how that plays out in the real world. You could decide to skip a fancy coffee every single day for a year, and yeah, that adds up to a decent saving. But making one single decision to lower a major expense, like finding a place to live that's just a little bit cheaper, can save you way, way more every year. It's about making a few smart, high-impact choices, not 100 tiny, painful sacrifices. And the potential payoff here is huge. Research has found that households that make a conscious effort to manage these big three expenses can save up to 20% of their total income. 20%! I mean, think about that. That's a life-changing amount of money, and it's unlocked by focusing on just three categories. All right, so we've automated the system, we've targeted the big expenses. Now for the fun part. Let's talk about a few psychological tricks we can use to make saving feel less like a chore and, a lot more like winning a game. Think of this as your personal toolkit of mind games. First up, mental framing. It's as simple as giving your savings accounts names with a purpose, like Hawaii vacation or future house fund. Suddenly, you have an emotional connection that makes you way less likely to rate it. Or you can gamify it. Track your progress with a visual chart and celebrate when you hit certain milestones. And then there are no spend challenges. Just trying to go a week buying only the absolute essentials. It's a fantastic way to hit the reset button on your spending habits. Now, for all of these strategies to actually work and stick around for the long haul, they have to be built on a really solid foundation. There are two essential pillars that are going to protect all your hard work from getting wiped out when life, happens. First, avoid high-interest debt at all costs. I'm talking about things like credit card balances that are actively working against you. The interest you're paying can literally eat away at your savings faster than you can build them. Second, build an emergency fund. This is your financial safety net. Having 3 to 6 months of living expenses stashed away means that when a real crisis hits, and it will, you don't have to go into debt and undo all your progress. So, why does all this stuff work so well together? Well, it really boils down to this one core insight from behavioral finance. We are all wired to follow the path of least resistance. By making saving automatic, we make it easy. By using these little psychological tricks, we make it feel rewarding. We're finally working with our own human nature instead of constantly fighting against it. And you know what's really empowering about this whole approach? It's universal.
It doesn't matter if you get a weekly paycheck, a monthly salary, or if you own your own business. These principles aren't about your profession or even how much you make. They target the basic fundamentals of human behavior, and that means they can work for absolutely everyone.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought. Forget about trying to change your entire life overnight. Just think about this one simple question. What is one small, simple savings habit you can put on autopilot this week? Because starting that automatic process, that is the single most powerful first step you can possibly take.